Hi, in today's video I want to show you how to upload large files to S3 using signed URLs in a multi-part upload. The key point for me was uploading the parts from the browser straight into AWS. So as you can see, when uploading a file there are many requests, each uploading a separate piece of the file. So let's begin. I'm gonna reuse the setup from previous videos and just focus on logic. First thing I need is to decide whether the file is large enough to send in multipart. AWS recommends to use it for files larger than 100 megabytes, so that's what I'm doing, and the minimum part size is 5 megabytes. I set mine to slightly higher. Then I have to calculate how many chunks I'm gonna send by dividing the file size by my chunk size. I'm rounding up so as to not exceed the chunk size in the last chunk. The minimum size limit does not apply to the last chunk, so this is definitely safe to do. This is important because we're going to generate a signed URL for each part, so we need to know how many chunks we're going to send. Now let's create a function that will initiate the multipart upload. AWS will respond with some data, but most importantly, it's going to give us an upload ID. Let's also handle generating the signed URLs. This command will use that upload ID and the calculated parts to generate a signed URL for each part. Now we can go to the upload action to initiate the multipart upload flow and use the upload ID from the response to generate the signed URLs. We're gonna need it in the UI later, so I'm gonna return it along with the signed URLs and object key. Now I wanna create the functions that will handle the upload logic on the UI side of things. I'm gonna map over the signed URLs and then use the index and the minimum part size to find the start and end. So for the first one, it's gonna start at 0 and end at 6 million. Then from 6 million to 12 and so on until last URL, in which case we're just gonna use the starting index and run it to the end. Last but not least, send it as body in a HTTP put request to AWS. I'm returning etag and part number for each URL because it is required to complete the upload. Mind the uppercase here as this is the format AWS expects. Since we're already here, let's also create a function for completing the upload. We're just gonna send a post request with some data. Now in the S3 file, I'm creating a function that will send a command to AWS to complete the upload. AWS will then put all the parts together and save the file in my bucket. I'm sending the upload ID and the etag and part number array that I created previously. This tells AWS how to put the file back together. One last thing I need is to create an endpoint I can call to complete the upload. Finally, back in the submit handler, we can put it all together. First, I'm using the signed URLs returned from the upload action to send the file to AWS. Then, using the upload ID and the response from the uploaded parts to complete the upload and save it in my bucket. Before I test this flow, I want to handle errors because I don't want any failed uploads left hanging. AWS does charge for the temporary storage that the parts are in before they are either saved or deleted. So I'm back in the S3 file setting up the abort command. Same as before, we're gonna need to send the upload ID. Now creating the endpoint that will send the command and a helper function to call it. I'm just gonna wrap this up in a try catch and that is it. One last thing before testing is showing some kind of loader, as uploading large files could take a while. Let's set up a variable flag. It's gonna turn true before we even trigger the update action and then turn false after we're done handling the response, and then pass it to the file upload component. Okay, let's test this. Wow, that failed fast. Let's see the console. Okay, I see those are course errors because I probably didn't configure course for put requests. So let's add that in and try again. Okay, it didn't error straight away, so that's a good sign. But it didn't show up either, so something's wrong. I see E tag is null, so there is something going on. Okay, I just realized that I did not expose the header in course. This was a little bit more tricky to find as it just gave us a 500 error, but it is still a course configuration issue. Third time's the charm. Going strong. Okay, it's here and I can download it. And I can play it. We're pretty much done here, but I also wanted to show you how to check if there are any incomplete uploads for your bucket. We can use the AWS CLI for that. I'm gonna list the in-progress uploads for my bucket. As you can see, I have a few of them, so I'm gonna manually delete that top one. All the necessary data is returned from the previous command, so I'm just gonna paste it all in, and now that upload is gone. It would be totally impractical though, having to do this manually, so you can also set up a lifecycle rule to abort incomplete uploads, so AWS does not charge you for the storage. The minimum duration is 1 day though. So to sum this all up, you should now know how to set up a multipart upload to S3 from the client using signed URLs. We've also handled aborting incomplete uploads in 3 different ways, with an SDK, from the CLI, and with an automated lifecycle rule on the S3 bucket. That is it for this video. Thanks for watching.